Hello, this is Patty Montoya. I am a psychic medium and energy healer, death doula, grief coach, anticipatory grief coach, so many things. I usually work with people going through a loss or experiencing trauma, and they're ready to kind of liberate themselves from trauma, from grief, from limiting beliefs, from vows. Or some people just need kind of just guidance and clarity. So that's kind of what I provide. I have a variety of different tools. But today I wanted to speak about something really important that I haven't spoken about much. I've shared a lot, maybe not in the channel, but overall in other social media channels and blog posts about how I became involved in grief and death and anticipatory grief. However, I haven't spoken that much about how or why I became involved in energy healing. And today I had an interview for a magazine, and I thought, I'm ready. I'm ready to at least start speaking about it because I think it's so important. So my story is long, and I'll go into it in another channel, in another video, and might not make that much sense right now, but I'll make my best to explain myself. However, all my life I've been a very nervous person, very anxious. Today I was talking to my therapist, and I'm like, I don't know if I've told you, but I was scared of sleeping near a window. When I was growing up, I was raised in Colombia. Our family was very much attacked by Pablo Escobar and the guerrilla. And I didn't experience anything personally, right? My family had. However, I was very nervous. I was always very obsessed with the guerrilla and kidnapping and FARC. My dad had been kidnapped, so I would talk to him a lot about it. I'm just very, very curious and kind of trying to piece everything together. When I went off to college, and then later on, I started reading. I love reading. I lost my brother when I was in high school, so when I went to college, I started reading a lot about grief and death and the afterlife and what does that all mean, right? And then many years later, I met a boy who had a lot of childhood trauma, and I started reading about it, right? And like, I don't understand it, I want to understand it, let's read. That's kind of that's my process. So I started reading, and I started reading about how childhood trauma can really impact you as an adult. And I was like, wow, this connects a lot with my story too, right? I was seeing a lot of like, you might be anxious, you might be angry, you might be just kind of like very nervous. You might have a hard time trusting things or believing that things are gonna happen, right? I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? It's like, who's dying next, what's happening next, like what disaster is happening next, because I'm such living in a trauma state. So reading about it, then I learned something called generational trauma and prenatal trauma. So when my mom was pregnant with me, my mom had to flee the country. My family had to flee the country. I was born in Miami, if you don't know that, but I was born in Miami. And my dad was traveling back and forth from between Colombia and the United States. So my mom was alone, well, with family, but not her family in the United States, not her language, not her culture, having a third baby. And it was very impactful, very nervous. Before she left, there was a lot of death threats and just a lot of anxiety, you can imagine. And I hadn't pieced it all together, but I'm like, this is not mine, this is not mine. I was like, I just don't get it, right? And throughout my own healing, I learned about body code, which is kind of really releasing those emotions that we inherited. I've learned about kind of EMDR. I learned about releasing trauma. And for me, the biggest thing was really just identifying this is not mine. When I identify, hey, this is not mine, I feel like it just opened this whole other world of, I don't have to carry this because this is not mine. It was just so beautiful. I mean, it was hurtful, but it was so beautiful. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to talk about this with my mom because while I was kind of figuring my life out, she got sick and then she passed away. And it wasn't a conversation that you want to have with someone and just blame them, right? It was just like a very, like, I was still trying to figure out, is this mine? Like, I know, and understanding how that kind of passes, what are the stories that I have, what are the memories I have. Later on, I learned that you can inherit memories, right? In a course I took, they were talking about how, for example, this woman panicked in a shower, and she had no idea that one of her grandmothers had died in the Holocaust. So things like that we don't even know, but we feel them, right? We might sleep one way, or we might act one way, or we might react one way, and we're triggered, but we don't even know because it's not our story. So throughout my process, I've encountered amazing healers and mentors and coaches, and I've done a beautiful work of just releasing a lot of that. I tell all my clients, it's like grief, anger, resentment, all of those have all of those emotions have very dense energy, and we're carrying them, right, no matter what. And if we don't release them, it just kind of, I feel like it just stopping us. It's really stopping us. So I'm a big believer on kind of just releasing all of that, so like new things can come up, new ideas, new opportunities. When we're not so focused in survival mode, we're able to see so many other opportunities, right? Like when we're in survival mode, for example, if like a zebra is about to be eaten by a lion, the zebra's not thinking about like, oh my god, I need water, or where's my kid, or where am I gonna go eat tonight, right? Like, we're worried about the moment, survival. So when we're able to break that pattern, like close the stress cycle and release all of this trauma, and it's not happening in a day, right? Like, I've been working through it for a couple of years now, which I'm very proud of myself. I'm very excited. And it's a continuous work. It's really a continuous work. I've realized that every stage I move into, like we move into new chapters, into new stages of our lives. I've realized how I've worked through things, and then new things pop up, and I just have to give it all my love, all my attention, just kind of let the feelings come. And the same way as I let them come and give them space, I also let them kind of be released and let go throughout like a variety of modalities that I have. So I just thought I would talk about how I got into energy healing, because I feel like I've spoken so much about grief, but energy healing comes, like everything I do comes from my personal perspective, my personal needs, and my personal situations. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to work with anyone that is going through a similar situation that I went through. I offer free discovery calls, so if you want to learn more, let me know.